Hey everyone, I'm Connor and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've sat down and done a video, but I've been booked and busy, alright? I've been gallivanting off to Europe, but you know, it feels good to be back in the chair. It feels good to be here, and I'm doing my Q&A for February. Obviously, I got a lot of questions post Paris trip, so I'll be answering all of those for you. But if you are new here on my channel, I like to talk about all things luxury, so if that's something you're into, I'd love it if you could hit the subscribe button and the bell button so you're notified when I bring out new videos. And if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Let's get into the Q&A. Get yourself a drink, get yourself a little snack, whatever you want to do. You can even do it podcast style if you like, I don't care. Let's jump on in. Generally, once a month, I'll put the request out for questions for the Q&A on my Instagram story, which the only way you'll see that is if you're following me on Instagram. The Closet by Connor _ is my username. Secondly, if you're subscribed to my channel, you'll see the community post that I put out, which you'll only see if you're subscribed, so make sure you do that. But I'm going to start with the YouTube community post questions first. Now, YouTube scrambles the names, so I'll just read them out you know, in a normal way without like the numbers and stuff. So the first one is from Marlene Popov. She's asked, what did you buy in Paris? Did you buy any butter for Dale? Oh, I actually offered to Dale, I said, do you want me to smuggle back some butter for you? And she said no. So I don't know if she's actually a butter lover. I think she just did it for the clout, if you're gonna ask me, because yeah, but she denied the request for any butter, so whatever. But I did buy some things in Paris, but there's more to that story, so I'm doing a separate video on that, so, you know, stay tuned. Next is from Francesca the Great. She's asked, did you need a separate suitcase for your coats, and how did you keep them from getting wrinkled? Your videos of your Paris trip were fabulous. Thank you for making the effort for us. Oh, you're more than welcome, Francesca. They were actually, when I was editing them, I was like, oh, reminiscent of my Paris trip, even though it was like 3 days before when I started uploading them. But no, they were fun to make, and I'm glad you guys all enjoyed them. With the suitcases, so this time I took 3 suitcases in total. I took one for taking on the aeroplane, and then a large and medium-sized one that got checked under the plane. What I did was, in the suitcase that I took in the overhead, like with me on the plane, one side of that had my bags that I was taking because I didn't want to check them in, and then the other side of that suitcase I took a coat that I could fold up and put in there. With the largest of the suitcases that got checked, I fit the other 2 coats in there, just folded up, and then all my clothes and underwear and socks and everything all fit in like that one large suitcase. And then the medium-sized suitcase, one side of it had toiletries, the other side was empty for like shopping. The coats, what I found is with like the better the material of the coat, the less chance it will wrinkle, and if it does wrinkle, it'll smooth itself out pretty quickly. So like all of the natural fibers like cashmere and wool, or like the blends of those, they're pretty good. Like they don't crinkle that bad, and then yeah, as soon as you kind of put it on, it just comes out very easily. All of the kind of man-made fibers like the polyesters, or like the polyamides that they put in a lot of coats to make it more shiny, they just look like a crumpled up piece of paper. So I tend not to buy coats like that with like polyesters or those blends, because they just feel really gross. They don't feel good on, they crinkle, you know, if you go near a naked flame you'll combust. And living in Brisbane as well, those fibers just do not breathe well. You'll just be sweating out of every orifice if you wear them. And with a lot of the stuff that I do own, I had to be really careful of buying stuff that I can wear here in Brisbane, and then I can also wear in winter months elsewhere if I do travel. Just because here we don't get a traditional winter, you might get 2 weeks of cold weather. So the other coats, so the coats that I did want to invest money into, they had to be stuff that I could still wear in Brisbane, more so at night time when it does get cooler in winter versus during the day, like if I go out for dinner and that sort of thing. So I wanted to make sure that I was still, you know, making sure that they were versatile enough. But yeah, you know, the natural fibers is the way to go. Next question comes from Laganipi. I don't know how to say that, sorry. They've asked, Connor, did you check out La Samaritaine on your trip? Like you, Bon Marché is my favorite. but La Samaritaine is a close second after a recent visit. They had the best Christmas shopping setup of all of the shopping centres, and the store was not as crowded as others, which allowed me to window shop without having to stop into individual boutiques. Meanwhile, Galeries Lafayette and Les Printemps, albeit not as busy as Lafayette, were overcrowded. Best regards, Antoinette. Look, in general, this time visiting Paris, because obviously it was the tail end of winter, it was very quiet in general. Le Bon Marché and Galeries Lafayette were the only two that I did visit. Le Bon Marché, you know, is quieter of the two anyways, but it was extra quiet this time. And even Lafayette was quieter compared to when I visited in May 2023. So both of them were quiet. Even just walking down Saint Honoré, they were all quiet as well. So I think, you know, depending on when you go, Christmas is obviously one of their peak seasons, and then like coming into summer is also, so it just depends when you go, but yeah, both were really quiet. It was a very pleasant shopping experience, even if you're just browsing and looking at stuff. So yeah, I guess if you want to go when you don't, when there's no one around, go when I went. Next question is from Kaylee Carroll. She's asked, what made you decide to go to Paris for your 30th birthday? Did you see anything that you didn't see the last time you went and get a new bag or outfit there? So Paris and I have this affinity with each other, okay? It's just my happy place, and it's one of those cities that you either love it or hate it, and if you do love it, you really love it. It's just, you know, a city that I love to go to, and it's one of those kind of gambles. It's like, well, do you pick somewhere new, risk not liking it, or do you go to somewhere that you know you're going to love? And there's so much more to explore in Paris every time you go. This time I went to the Louvre. I mean, if you've seen my vlogs, you would have seen some of the stuff, but I went to the Louvre, which I didn't do last time. I also went to we did a day trip to Belgium, and we got to see Brussels, which is also a good way to kind of like dip your toe in the water without committing to like visiting a whole country for your trip. But Paris, you can wander down the streets and find things that you've never seen before, or you just get to soak it up. So I guess I would go back again, and I would enjoy it just as much as the first time I visited it. Next question comes from Renee Anton, and she's asked, how long did you stay for, and how much does one need to budget for a similar trip like this? I went for a total of 10 days, including the 2 days of travel. So I left Brisbane on a Sunday at 2:30 in the afternoon, and then I arrived in Paris at 7 a.m. on a Monday morning. So it takes about between 24 and 26 hours if you add in the transit time when you do travel for us in Brisbane. And then I left on a Tuesday morning, and then I arrived back home on Wednesday night. For me, the 8 days there was perfect. In fact, there were 2 days where we kind of, if we condensed all of what we did in that day into one day, like 7 days would have been enough, but it's good to have like a nice little rest day, especially now that I'm in my 30s. It's all downhill from here. But having 8 full days there was great, and having that, like not having that pressure on, oh my god, we've got to get stuff done because we're going to run out of time. Like, I do not like doing that at all. So I feel like that was the perfect amount of time. I guess a tip I would say is, if you're in Australia and you're traveling to just Europe or any long haul country, make sure you factor in the days of travel as like write-offs, and then focus on the full days that you've got there, because they're the days that you can actually do stuff. I know that might sound obvious, but you know, I know some people do forget about that. And then the second part, how much do I need to budget for a trip similar to this? Look, Renee, I am not proud of this, but I'm not a budgeter. I'm terrible at budgeting. I am good at picking the things I want to do and making it work. All I would really say is, I don't know what I would say. It costs what it costs. I mean, when I was looking at flights for economy, I feel like it was about $1,800 return, and then the hotel, it all comes down to preference. Like, I know Dale likes staying in a service department because she likes to sit at a table and have coffee and have like a, what's it called? Like a laundry and that sort of stuff. I don't really care about that because I drink my coffee in bed, and I like, you know, don't really need a laundry. So it just comes down to the preference of what you prefer. Obviously, the better the hotel and the better the location, you're going to pay more, but it's, you know, my budget's different to your budget and vice versa. So you got to find what you love and make it work. That's what I say. Next question is from Caroline. She's asked, do you prefer traveling alone? I do, and why? Could you ever see yourself living abroad? And what's better, luxury goods or the travel experience itself? And any gorgeous men you saw while you were there? For the last question, yeah, okay. I don't know, even if there's someone that I would normally find attractive, you're attractive. I don't know, it must be like the European or the Parisian rose-colored glasses that you put on, but yeah, there was. Do I prefer traveling alone, and why? It depends. So I like traveling alone. I'm comfortable traveling alone. I don't feel like, you know, oh, I wish someone was here. But at the same time, if you're like my friend Zelina, who I went with, we're very close, and we have that kind of relationship where I can be like, oh my God, like I need a day where I don't need to talk to you because that's who I am as a person. And I did do that. And we had that relationship where we're like, yeah, cool. We have the same kind of standard of, you know, like how long it takes ourselves to get ready and, you know, what we expect to do in a day. So it just depends on the relationship of the person you're going with. I could never go on a trip with somebody who's like, we're meeting at this time and like we've got to leave at this time, and, you know, like very strict. I could not do that. But it just depends on the person, really. But, you know, I can travel alone or I can travel with, you know, people I'm comfortable with, and it's fine. Could I ever see myself living abroad? I could see myself short-term living abroad. I couldn't see myself permanently living abroad. I don't think, I think I would miss Australia too much. And whilst visiting overseas is great, I think the culture here is very specific, and it would be like hard to like break away from that. But never say never. What's better, luxury goods or the travel experience itself? Buying luxury goods at the end of the travel experience. That's what I say. I think both. Like definitely the holiday being there is more of a better feeling than buying luxury goods. But you know, you can do both. If you can do both, do both. But I would definitely say putting more money towards like the flights itself, like I did with the business class, and then finding a hotel that is really nice as well. Like that all is worth more to me than just buying something on the holiday. Yeah, I would say don't skimp out on those things to have more money to buy something, because when I look back at that holiday, it was such a breeze. It was a relaxing luxury. It wasn't something where I thought, oh my God, I dreaded traveling just to get there and then dreaded coming home. I enjoyed the whole experience, so don't underestimate. Next question is from Rebecca K. How was life coming back from Paris? I think the last Q&A I watched, you were job hunting. Well, coming back from Paris was a little bit, what's the word, like unsure, because there was a cyclone heading for Brisbane, Cyclone Alfred, you bastard, and there was so much uncertainty of what was going to happen. The day I was flying back, or the day I was landing in Brisbane, that was, you know, coming into the thick of it, and they didn't know if it was going to hit on the Thursday morning, or they just really didn't know what was going to happen. So when I was coming into Brisbane, it was not a fun flight. It was very, very, very windy, and the clouds all out there looked very just different to how clouds normally look. Like it was just this thick blanket, and I was like, am I gonna die? But I didn't really get the post-holiday blues, I don't think. I didn't get any jet lag either. Going there, I had no jet lag. Coming back, I just went straight back into my sleeping pattern, which was great. I think maybe maybe the second night, actually, I think I woke up a little bit earlier, maybe at like 5 a.m. than I would normally wake up, a few hours earlier, but then after that, I was fine. But the other thing that I have all the time whenever I come back from a trip is I have very vivid like nightmares or bad dreams, and it happens every time, and it happened this time for about 3 nights, where something's happening in the dream, and it's about like missing a flight, being stuck on the airplane, something to do with like the travel the traveling experience. So I don't know why that happens. I'm sure there's some sort of psychological explanation out there. But yeah, with regards to the job hunting, I just resumed job hunting now that I don't have any holidays booked. And yeah, I'm halfway through my course that I'm doing at uni, and I'm like, now's the time. So I've been applying for jobs, but again, it's just one of those things that the right one will come when it's meant to come. That's what I just keep telling myself. Now moving on over to the Instagram questions. The first one comes from Living Lux with Meredith. Hey Mez. She's asked where to next and when. That's a good question. I don't think I will go overseas for the rest of this year. I'll probably do like a Melbourne trip or something later in the year, but next year, I don't know. Who knows? I would love to go to Japan, or I would love to go to Canada, or maybe back to Europe again and do different countries. I don't know. It'll depend, but the travel bug is well embedded within me. The next question is from Liam Lau 27. He's asked favourite and least favourite part of your trip. My favourite part of my trip, I guess, just all the food. The food there, I did not have a bad meal. I did not have a bad anything. Maybe the coffee. The coffee's absolutely terrible. But all the food, just everything just tastes so much better. Least favourite part of my trip would probably be, I think, was it the first 2 days or maybe the first day? No, the second day when my friend arrived. The weather was absolutely shocking. It was like being in a wind tunnel, and the rain was just not favourable, but it only lasted like 1 day where it was that bad. So that was probably my least favourite part. But it's just what happens over there in the winter time. The next few questions are from Eileen. She's asked, firstly, how's the studying going? The studying is studying, okay? It's going good. I'm halfway through now, and you know, my brain's in that academic mode, but balancing everything and studying, it's a challenge. It doesn't get easier, you just get more resentful. It is hard. That's the only thing I would say. You do have to sacrifice a lot, or things that you want to do, but I guess it'll be worth it when it's over. I think by June I should be finished. She's also asked my favourite Real Housewives series. Well, it did used to be Beverly Hills, then it went to Salt Lake City, but I do love Potomac at the moment, so I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can choose one favourite one. I love them all for different reasons. Next question is from Kirsten Loves Travel. She's asked best travelling bag. I've said it before, I'll say it again, the GM Neverfull, just bloody beauty. I got mine in the Damier Azure canvas. Just such an easy bag, fits under all the seats, easy to sit on your suitcase. You can get great organizers. Mine has a zip on it. I think the zip, it's like Velcro, so you can take the zip part off if you want, or you can keep it on. Just such a great bag. It's Old Faithful, and if you're on the fence about getting one, get off the fence and go and buy one. It's just no complaints, absolutely no complaints. Next question is from Shane's86. He's asked, what's your favorite fragrance? I don't really have one like be all or end all, but probably in the top 3 would have to be Louis Vuitton Meteor. That one, I've actually got to get it refilled, it's run out. That one, there's nothing else like it. Every time I smell it, makes me happy. It smells like just magic and everything in between. So that one is definitely up there. And for me, it's one of those fragrances where every time I do smell it, there's nothing else like it. There's no, oh, it kind of smells similar to this and that. Nah, it's in a league of its own. So definitely that one. I did get a new fragrance from Louis Vuitton while I was in Paris, which I'll reveal, in another video. But I still think Meteor is the bee's knees. Next question is from Raf Mike. He's asked, if you could have a lifetime supply of food or meal, what would it be? Oof. It would be like a savoury food. It definitely wouldn't be a sweet, like a dessert thing. Anything carby. I love, pasta. I love just bread. Anything, potatoes. Anything with carbs in it. It makes me happy. I think I was like destined to be a carb slut. So yeah, anything that's carby, send it my way in that lifetime supply and I'll be happy. B.O. Tai has asked, if not blue or black, which colour bag would you go for? Ooh, but why not blue? or black? Probably maybe green, but it would depend on the kind of green. I don't like the darker kinds of greens. I'd more go for like Dale's Birkin colour green. That's something I would go for because it's so like pastel-y, is that the word? Or I don't know, what else is there? I wouldn't go for anything red. I wouldn't go for maybe something yellow in the cooler tone, but not like pastel yellow and not like warm yellow. I would go for something orange if it's like cool toned. But yeah, like I always go back to blue. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Dana Philo has asked your favourite French pastry from the trip, and did you have any good Belgian beers? My favourite pastry is just good old faithful pain au chocolat. It's just my favourite, and they do them in all different sizes, like depending where you go. Some are like the really like little bite-sized ones, or some are the like big Godzilla ones. Any of them are fine, but yeah, that's just my favourite. Or just a good old croissant, can never go wrong, but I like the little chocolate like in there to kind of offset, so that's just old faithful for me. No, I did not have any beers in Belgium, and funnily enough, I know there are heaps of beer places, but we never actually walked past any from the outside that looked like this was a beer place. So no, I did not. Okay, but I did, you know, if you've seen in the vlogs, I did have like all the other stuff, like Belgium wise, but not the beer, sadly. Next few questions are from Jude All. Is it business class from now on? Yeah, I don't think I can go back. Like shorter flights or like domestic flights, yeah, who cares? But anything kind of long haul, like 10 hours plus, I think it's got to be business class, because I can't go back. And if I can't afford to fly business class, I'll wait until I can, okay? Because I can't go back there. Don't make me go back there, Jude. And then she's also asked am I still looking for a new career? Yes, I am. I'm still on the job hunt, but it's in the universe's hands now. It's up to them to find the right job for me, okay? And how did your home fare after Alfred? Alfred was kind to my area of the vicinity. There were houses in the street over from mine that did flood, and there was a lot of like vegetation damage, like trees and everything on the road. Like all of the traffic lights around me did not work, so people were just driving through intersections left, right and centre, literally. But my actual house, I didn't lose any power, you know, it was all fine for me, luckily. But more down like the Gold Coast area, or like different parts of Brisbane more close to the coast, they got absolutely smashed, and some people didn't have power for like a week, so that would have been horrid. But no, thankfully my place was fine. And the last question from Luxembourg, what part of France other than Paris do you most want to visit and haven't yet? That's a good question. If my French was better, like if I knew more, I'd feel more comfortable going out to other places. But I mean, realistically, you can speak English there, but I would like to know more. Probably like Lyon, or down to like south of France, like Marseille, or even do a little, you know, what's it called, Saint-Tropez thing. But you know, all in good time. They're places that I think would be fun to visit too. I can see Dale in Saint-Tropez, like she'd be there with her Aperol spritz and her big ass hat, like, and her like sunglasses, just like meh, like pondering around. Can't you see that? I can. So maybe I'd go with Dale there. But yeah, that's probably what I'd want to do. Thank you so much everyone for sending me in your questions for the Q&A. Please keep an eye out on my Instagram and my YouTube community page when I do the request for questions next time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all very shortly in my next video. Bye!